Hello, Neil.
G'day, g'day.
Meeting my cookie. I'm pretty
Drink.
sure this meeting gets auto-recorded and uploaded at the end now.
Yeah, I think that's the default. Yeah, I'm just looking at my screen here. Yeah, it's recording.
Yeah. But now I think it gets auto-uploaded also to the YouTube channel. So,
There's some.
hello, YouTube, and enjoy watching me eat my cookie.
Is that a
Um,
one? Is that a one-time cookie?
it's being destroyed right now.
Mm.
Mm. So have you had a chance to have a look at the videos yet? Not a problem if you haven't, just wondering.
I've had a quick glance through them, but that's about it. So,
Okay.
I mean,
I do want to
on,
release it by September.
yep, I would say certainly to get those in the pipe for background information for people to start getting up to speed for the conference.
Yeah. And I'm also going to join the tea club.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, that I'm drinking it out of a beer mug is a
It has brown colored and out of a beer mug. Yeah, excellent.
yeah, yeah, and it's it's black currant tea. It looks like a good bitter and just doesn't have any head.
So, what do you know about passkeys and FIDO network?
Um, well, let's put it this way. Anytime I go personally and go and look at passkeys, it's an absolutely overly complicated mess, and the whole industry knows it. It's just way too much work. It's too error prone. It's not clear, okay, so who's going to hold this and how does it work? Now I use 1Password as my password manager.
Yeah.
Uh, and it has the ability to work through it, but I just go, until you guys get your act together here and make this truly usable, you know, forcing people through a very technical workflow, which is not explained well, is not something that is going to get any traction.
Okay. So ChatGPT tells me that what a passkey is that when you want to authenticate onto a device, you are given they generate a key pair.
Mhm.
So the private key stays with me and the public key stays with them. That's what it say. Public key is given to the website or app you're logging into.
Mhm. The
So,
problem
okay.
is the problem I have is, okay, I'm going to store it really where? Unless you've got something like a 1Password safe to do so.
Yeah.
And I've got, sorry, if I have to go in as someone in the industry and go, I'm not sure how to do this, and I'm
Yeah.
really, if I have to go
Yeah.
through that exercise of going and
Yeah.
reading the manual myself, it's a failure.
So here's the whole thing. It's again, how do I manage and store private keys? And and then you get into because I know the computers try and do it and stuff like that. But uh like I know Ubuntu has a key ring and stuff like that, but I've tried to first of all, it's stuck on Ubuntu. What happens if my computer crashes? How do I get any of those back?
Well, to give my experience in terms of using 1Password, it's number one, it's in a U access only on their website. So if you've got and I do a cheat. I've
So
got a
it's like a
really strong.
wallet.
It's a
Yeah.
wallet.
It's a
It's a
really
wallet.
strong password. It's a web managed wallet for cryptographic keys.
That's right. And when it pops up and does its job, saying, okay, it pops up where it sees a login on a website or an application, and it says, okay, do you want to take whatever do you want me to generate a username for you if it hasn't been already assigned. And you
Yeah,
want me
yeah,
to generate a password, and boom, it's done. And then it also
yeah.
integrates into the browser so that if it sees something on there, it says, okay, you want me to do this, and it does some acknowledgement. So, and it's distributed, right? So I've got it on multiple devices. In fact, one of the 2FAs you can do is say, do you want to use 2FA by having it pop up on your mobile device while you're on screen, or alternate things as a checkpoint um, for 2FA. So, they've done a pretty good job of that. And I know a number of people in the tech industry who swear by that, and a couple of other vendors have got a very similar mechanism. So they've done it right, but it's just like, no, if I got to go through some, and I haven't bothered exploring it in 1Password, because I go, using 1Password in itself and constantly
Yeah.
rotating things for me, why do I need a passkey? It's already doing that kind of
Oh,
function for me.
okay. So in the bite-sized trust that I wanted to do for this, I was going to talk about, so how a password works is, this is how I think I'm going to explain it. How a password works is that, Neil, you have a computer that I want to log into. I want to create an account. So then
Mhm.
Neil, your server says to me, okay, Carly, tell me the secret phrase or word that I'm going to use, that you're going to use, and then I'll know it's you. And then I shout
Mhm.
over the internet, my secret word is frog breath. And then if you're bad, you directly store in your table, user Carly Heidema, secret word equals frog breath. If you're better, you will hash it and not actually store my password, but we certainly know
Mhm.
lots of places that store the password. So then every time
Mhm.
there's authentication, I have to shout across the internet, my secret word is frog breath.
Mhm.
And somebody could hack the message as it's going along and learn what the secret word is. In contrast, passkeys are, um, I establish at my computer the private public key pair. And the
Mhm.
private key secret never leaves my computer. And I send you my public key for login. So now your login table is user Carly Heidema, public key, such and such. So I no longer am shouting across the internet my secret. Instead,
Mhm.
you send me, oh, here, Carly, here's a bit of data. I want you to sign that data with your private key and send it back to me. And I will verify it with the public key I have on file for you. And if you
Yeah.
meet, if it matches, if it works, then I know that you are Carly. So my secret remains with me. So that's the advantage of
Yeah. And that is a passkey is a poor man's version of the did cross authentication check, where
okay, yes, yes.
I'm going to send you a word, you're going to sign it and send it back, and I'm going to do the same for you. We can check, verify that, with each other's public keys. So we've cross authenticated by doing
Okay,
that.
good. You said the little magic word because so the public key. And that is so with passkey, it's clear that you are storing your passkey, my public passkey on your server, but
Mhm.
it's not bi-directional. So I don't know. I'm not getting a key from you for me to verify that I am logging into neilthompson.com and not Nigerian prince stealing your bitcoin.com,
Mhm.
right? So that's one of the limitations of passkey. So DIDs are bi-directional. But now my question is, Neil, where, so one advantage is that DIDs allow bi-directional verification.
Mhm.
Number two, though, is where is the public key that you look up? Because I could say, Neil, I'm going to sign in with identifier did, let's say did sovereign, even though did sovereign or did indie, so did indie and then whatever the namespace is. So now that is a public repository, and you have on file that I am going to log in with my did indie identity. And then my public key is that you can use to verify me is up on did indie. So you're not keeping my public key, it's up on did indie.
Mhm.
So then when you want to verify me, you have to go to did-indy to retrieve my public key. Not you have to look inside your internal database and look up my public key.
I could see both. I could see you store it as opposed to having, and it would only be, okay, I've grabbed the cached version I have of the public key.
Hmm.
Oh, that didn't work. Oh, maybe I need to go back to, and because you
Yes,
rotated your keys.
because I rotated, because then I would have the ability to rotate the key.
Mhm.
And the rotation of the key would be under my control versus if you were storing like in passkey, if you store my key, I have to do a rotation, but then I have to say, pretty please accept my rotated key. I would like to change it for logging in now.
Yeah, that's, like I said,
But
it's a better mechanism, but it's, and that's why you're still seeing 2FA. Like at
yeah,
this point, in fact, I just, I'm a community association president, and I set up we got a free license for using Google Apps.
yeah,
So the communities, for disk drives, for email addresses. And I just had to go through the exercise of getting all the administration accounts up to 2FA. And they give you several different options, right? So
yeah.
one is that
The authenticator app.
authenticator app. Um, the other one is other device.
Yep.
So it pings up. Got another thing that Google's on. Okay, it literally pops up on my,
Yeah.
my, my,
Yeah.
my phone and my tablet and says, "Was that you?" And that's it. It's very simple. Yeah, and the other one is text.
And I think they're also starting to enable passkeys.
I didn't look too hard. I was just, what was the sort of like they offer as deep as you want to go these days with
Yeah.
Google
Google
Apps.
does
And
a
I
good
just
job
said,
of that.
the problem I've got as an administrator is, um, those accounts are going to get moved across different people.
Yeah.
So the email address is not Neil Thompson at Canada Beaverbrook. It's president
Yeah.
at Canada Beaverbrook. So
Yeah.
you got a problem. How do you easily do that? Because Google Apps is not geared up to security applied to a role. It's which can move between people. They haven't
Yeah.
figured out, because from a community association standpoint, I want to have one email for the accounts department and the
Yeah.
treasurer, right? I don't want to have that be Fred this week and Mary the next,
Yeah.
right? So they're not quite there yet.
Also with the I don't know if Fido allows it, but you could have multi login, like you could say in order to access such and such. I mean, they do this in cryptocurrencies where you can say in order to access that account, you need to have the two of these three dids give permission. So
Mhm.
in an organization where you are splitting it amongst multiple people, you could have, Neil is
Yeah,
allowed, Carly is allowed, and so is allowed. Or if it's like if you were doing higher security things, you could say five of the eight board members have to agree to change the master password or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. It's that's what Glyph is all about, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
corporate governance. It's in fact, that was what Sam literally, I remember sitting in the room listening to him talk about the one IAW about, we're doing 3 of 5, right? So those 5 people can change over time. They're not all going to change at once. So they have the concept of, yes, we're going to assign this role, or you've got a slot in there's 5 slots and you put some different did in that slot and say, these people are, one of these five people have to have signed this.
Yeah.
Two of
Yeah.
X, X of Y. I can't recall what the term is. Which again
And
is a much more organizational, role-based thinking. So
yeah. And
like,
Google does support passkeys, and it's built into Android. for acceptance. So it's probably some kind of Android wallet that manages passkeys, so you can do it from different devices.
Yeah, it's just that.
So, so, so back to my example where I can say, oh, my did is on did Indy, and I want you to use that for me to log in. If I were to say my did is did key, that means it's the same way as Fido passkey because I give you a copy of my did document, which has my key. So you're storing it locally and I store yours locally.
Yeah, there's a whole series of variations of that. I mean, as we
Oh,
discussed earlier.
although in that instance, I can force you to take the update because in Fido, actually, I don't know how Fido handles the security of key rotation. Like if I say, hey, I'm a user, I want to update my key.
Mhm.
I don't know if you just say, okay, sure, Carly, well, you're using an old key, that's good enough. Like pre-rotation or anything like that is probably not there. So if somebody hacks my account, they change my pass key, and now I'm completely locked out with no recourse.
Yeah, and a lot of the justification you get on oh, it's better than an ID and a password. Okay, but sometimes you can
Oh,
dig
no,
your
because then what could happen is same with an ID and a password. Perhaps there's a whole other method for me to reassert my identity, and then
yeah.
they have the power to reassign the pass key to me again.
Yeah,
Okay, Carly, you got hacked. We'll take your new pass key, send it to us. All right, your
yeah.
new
So certainly you've got, I can't remember if it's true of one password or not. Haven't looked at it in a while. But yeah, they've got, you need to write down the following stuff and put it somewhere else because that's your recovery codes. Right.
right, right. Okay, which is I don't know if did allows recovery codes.
Um, I don't believe
I
so.
don't think so. I don't think that's part of the architecture.
Mhm. Well,
Because because if I want to do a key rotation with a did, then actually it doesn't matter. I think it's dependent upon the did method because some did methods like WebVH say your control keys, which are going to be different than my keys used for verifying for authentication. My control keys for the did, like if for did PLC or whatever, the one for Blue Sky, they keep their controls keys separate. So unlike, I don't know if because WebVH is all about the control key signings and rotations must be verifiable all the way to the Genesis. That's
mhm.
Carry and did WebVH. That's the verifiable history of VH.
Yep.
So with a did peer, did key, you can't rotate. Did peer, I think lets you rotate, but I don't know if the history would be verifiable or if I just get to say, delete the old one, here's the new one.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old joke, the world is held up by a man standing on the back of an elephant, standing on a turtle, and it's turtles all the way
Yeah,
down.
turtles all the way down. Yeah,
I mean, it's all about using the same mechanism, but one step removed and more isolated.
yeah,
It's a set of
yeah, yeah,
keys,
yeah.
and certainly there was an extremely good demo of AI to AI agent stuff that was given by a company called Datira. They're going
Yeah.
they did a presentation. I put it in the AI Slack for Trustware IP. I
Okay.
put the recording of the session. I think it's well worth watching. Where they have come to, and
Oh, which channel? Which channel?
it's hold on.
Technology stack or
No, TSWG-AIM-TF. So
oh,
the
sorry. Browse channels. Which yeah.
AIM-TF.
Aim.tf. Okay.
Yeah, dash TF. So the recording and the slide deck are in there. So what they're
Okay.
doing, and these
Yeah.
guys are in travel. They're going to be going public early 2026, first or second quarter. So we got the first view of that from these guys at the Hospitality and Travel Special Interest Group. I'm going to be
Yep.
talking depth. So their approach is very much in terms of DID usage, is that, you know, you've got an internal DID as a customer, but that's, you have a separate, shall we say, they work from the standpoint of using either a DID for a session or a DID
Okay.
for the purposes of a trip, as you know. So it's gonna, this is, in fact, they could be using DIDs within DIDs, right? So they're saying, okay, for the purposes of that, you know, you have a DID we're gonna hold close, that that's your customer DID, but your, so they're very much looking at, you know, a DID is a purpose-built thing
Yep.
with a limited lifetime. In fact, one of the discussions that's come up on terms of lifetime for how you share data, it's not enough that it's time-based sharing. Say, okay, you got this for 3 weeks. It's also in terms, okay, so it's also in terms of for a given purpose. Once the
Yeah.
parties have agreed, yes, we're finished now, close it off. So,
Yeah. Well, so that's
so
authentication and authorization?
all of the above. So, you know, sharing token for, you're going to get to use, for example, use case of supplying a photograph or a voice recording, including voice recording of how to pronounce your name to share with hotels
Mhm.
and travel service, is
Yep.
definitely a very short leash, micro shared thing. Um,
Yep.
and and in fact, I worked through with GDP5. It had knows enough about GDPR. It says, would you like me to give you an actual GDPR digital contract version of this that says no store, no use for training, no use for anything?
Question.
Hmm.
What language are you expressing your license in for that?
License for
No use for training, no use for this. You can only use it for that. What language?
English.
Okay, because we're working on ODRL to be able to express that in a machine readable format.
What's ODRL?
It's set up for the media sharing, but like for research data and stuff like that, we're looking at using it to express rights language. You have to write your own vocabulary, but I think that would absolutely fit in with your use case.
Well, yeah. So what we have done for the travel profile in general, because it's got to be fully internationalizable, is we're using ENUS as the internal technical value. It's extremely heavily enum driven. So choices for, you know, what's your address, whatever else. Some of that stuff will be typed in, but if you've got options like what's your what sex are you for the purpose of your passport, right? That's an enum list. And the fully intention is, as I've said earlier, is using a layered schema approach where you're basically saying, okay, all these properties against this particular object, um, they all have translate lookups. So somebody can come in and do all that kind of stuff. So, you know, here is all the tables you guys need to fill with the translation from this internal technical term to whatever you want to see. Now,
Mhm.
now what there's still going to be type in, right? Certainly there's a lot of pressure to say, hey, I want to express this in terms of, I just want to write something and give you, and you get your AI to figure out what information you're actually going to store in the structured system based on what I said. Um,
Yeah.
um, so, and at this point, you know, AI translation is getting good enough. So, okay, somebody types something in, you know, you may want to verify translation into certain languages. And I say, okay, that's close enough, that it's understood. Uh, I mean, part of, let's put it this way, the overwhelming direction we're taking is that the information you need in your profile, in some cases, gets really uh, technical. Um, Medical conditions, for example,
Mhm. Right, right.
we're finding having to put in very technical medical information. Not that you're ever going to show it to, you're never going to share that information. But what you're going to use it for is to bring in an AI agent who understands all the supports somebody with condition X needs and publish, for your profile. Here are the, looking at your conditions, we're going to hand you back a list of supports you need to travel. So here's, you need a
Right,
wheelchair,
right,
you need an aisle wheelchair to get on a plane. You need power for your oxygen generator. You need refrigeration for your medication without
right.
specifying medication.
Yeah,
So in
yeah,
other words, it's part of your profile, but there's certain parts of it, like your emergency
yeah,
contacts. It's in there not to ever be shared, but for your agent to act as a proxy. Oh, there's an
right,
emergency involving Neil. Okay, let me go down the contact list and I will contact the people in the priority order
right, right.
for that.
So with that kind of method, well, okay, so has coming up with, because I thought the next videos for Bite Size Trust could be very simple descriptions of use cases. So like
Mhm.
an endpoint would be, you could learn my new email address and uh, uh, authentication with my public key as a store. Now, how did you say, as an example of a use case that AI could use DIDs?
Well, in this case, and again, we're projecting here, and it's not right. It's not there right now, at
Yep.
least not reliably yet. But it's the intent is okay. I'm delegating, so I'm delegating
Mhm.
to the agent. So there's a increasing amount of discussion on okay, how do you manage delegation of authority? Because
Isn't
you
that
need.
what Carrie is all about in ACDCs?
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah,
not
yeah. No,
ACDCs, delegation of authority?
yeah, and it basically it's the recording of the delegation, right?
Right, right. Okay, so
So
and authority would be, so authority, what you're permitted to do is not within the purview of DIDs. That would be in the purview of verifiable credentials or ACDCs with the delegation chain attached. And then within that VC would be some kind of role or roles that you have been delegated to perform and by
mhm,
whose authority has been given. Yeah.
yeah,
And
if
then
there's
those authorities would be traced back via DID identifiers and then verified according to the public keys that the DID identifiers reveal.
Yeah, the one thing that has come up in discussion, and I've been an advocate of this for some time, is that you're going to want audit trails of all the actual interactions and all the messaging that's gone back and forth. Um,
Mhm.
and not only what the messages were, but who were the parties, and that tracked their authority chains and everything else. And that does for several different reasons. One is you're now got a deep history. So, you look at it and it's recorded saying, okay, based on your travel history and what you actually did and watching all the stuff you did while you were on vacation, we've discovered that your preferences are not what you say they are. You actually do things quite differently than what it
Yeah,
says in
yeah,
your
but you don't
profile.
necessarily want to reveal that because like what if I was yeah, and you want the ability to delete and everything like that because in a, just theoretically in some kind of fascist state that might want to now very carefully watch which citizens are doing what in order to catch them for.
Well, again, the mechanism is that all that recording, it goes here. It doesn't go somewhere
Mhm.
else, right? So
Can I delete it then?
yeah, you can do, that's just it. I mean, it becomes under your control. So it's not
Yeah,
about being
yeah.
recorded by someone else. It's that, in fact, there is a lot of argument to say, if I am a loyalty card company, where do I store my specific information about you proprietary to this loyalty card? Right now, it's stored on a server. It's like, okay, well,
Okay.
you really want to make it secure and scalable? You store that information, and it could be in a proprietary form that nobody else can read. So
Yeah.
company X, like, I don't know, Air Canada's loyalty card.
Yeah.
It would store that, and it gets okay. We've solved the privacy problem. We've
Yeah,
solved the
yeah, yeah.
scalability problem, but we still, the data is only of useful to me as Air Canada. I can't read it if I'm Air France. Um,
Right.
Everybody goes, right. It's a win-win all the way around. We're pushing that out and giving you privacy. It checks off a whole bunch of boxes. How that's going to scale is another question. And I certainly I'm a big advocate of a distributed wallet model, so that you've got it's a coordinated. You've got a cloud wallet, so if all else fails, you've lost every device. You've got a cloud wallet that is an emergency backup.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
offline.
okay, yeah. Or and I think the FIDO lets you move your passkeys from device to device. So,
Yeah.
okay,
So that,
yeah. So
but
back
like I
to,
said, in terms of DIDs, to your point, I think what is clear in terms of explaining this stuff is you've got classes of DIDs from the ephemeral that's used for, each session or each
yeah,
transaction. You could
that's a good idea.
you can protect
So
it that way. And as you point, you've got the keys and the backup keys and the other keys, right? So in terms of DIDs and keys, um, you've got everything from the throwaway to
yeah,
the stuff that's buried in a bank vault behind in a storage box for which I lost the key last year.
yeah. Okay, okay, that's another nice idea to approach with the DIDs. Okay. So I'm going to the
And
next set of
and a support for that, if you look at what Bhutan did, is they've gone to that model, right? So in other words, the interaction, there's a recognition scheme between a person and the government. But the root DID that you're using on which everything is hidden, and there's an exchange mechanism so that you're doing transactional stuff, transactional DIDs. So they're not going to what some governments have asked for, which is you're going to use your DID for every communication to us. You have a single DID. You don't have a session DID. You're going to use that one a DID we assign to you, and you have to use it for everything, which is the far end of trackable. And as Bhutan is saying, we found everybody's happy, and we didn't have to do that.
Okay.
So that's certainly the model I've got in my own head.
Yeah, I'm asking public key to authenticate. Because okay, so DIDs allow mutual authentication because we both have each other's public keys and then we can check. So I said, oh, does FIDO support that mutual authentication as well? So they say that it doesn't have a public key of two-party cryptography, but it has origin binding. So it's going to be based on I guess on HTTPS. TLS certificate.
So they're talking about DNS TLS, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the mutual authentication that happens with passkeys is you have a key, but they just have TLS.
Yeah, and if you look at the trust spanning protocol, they're building on that. So
They're building what?
They're building on that. So if regardless
TLS?
well, at somewhere at the base is so what TSP allows you to do is to set up your whole own. You can set up your own internal over any mechanism. You're setting up your own pipe that has that same sort of in terms of multi-hops and everything else. You've got layers within layers of channels that all have their own keys. So even if you're going over an open wire, it ain't going to do you any good because it's so deep in terms of the messaging, right? So it was designed to be safe regardless of what the underlying infrastructure is. So it would be better to go over DIDCOM, but hey, if it goes over TLS, it's slightly marginally less, but the core is in the TSP communication architecture itself, not in the underlying supporting layer.
Right. Yeah. Because at some point I'd want to also do a DIDCOM bite-sized trust, but I need to yeah, I need to talk because also people are asking, why are you doing trust spanning protocol if DIDCOM already does it?
Well, if you talk to the DIDCOM guys, you're going, yeah, that's the next version of DIDCOM.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, I know that Wenjing certainly had a long, hard look at what the DIDCOM guys are doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've chatted with these guys. They've always been at IAW. I'm thinking of was one character, Sam. I can't remember his last name. Anyway,
Curran?
yeah, Sam, not the guy out in BC.
Yeah. The other Currans.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's one of those guys, and I've seen the pair of them in the room going, yeah, this is all good stuff, Wenjing. That's we will
Right.
be
Okay.
happy to upgrade that. We are spec compliant with that. So that's the
Right.
direction, right?
Okay.
So and I've also seen and heard in conversations with the OpenID Connect folks, um, they're they're very quietly, they're building a bridge for people. If
Yeah.
you're on OAuth today, everybody there's a lot of discussions on OAuth and how it just won't go there for this kind of agentic kind of mechanisms. So very quietly, they're using the authentication authorization to create the DIDs to use over DIDCOM. So
Okay.
so they're saying, okay, we're going to give you not a back door, but we're going to let you use your existing authentication to get the stronger stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. How does yeah, how does OpenID connect? Because that's like the one that everybody is using.
Yeah, it's certain. I mean, even talking to I had a chance through the diff stuff to end up chatting with two people from Visa Europe, right, who are part of this is the SSI bunch in there, and they say, yeah, our first stuff for the EU digital wallets will be supporting, still supporting, say, merchant holder of your uh, payment card information and using OpenID Connect because what are all the banks and everybody else using in Europe right now? So for those digital wallets to work out of the box, but the intention is, you know, everybody gets it that that's a bridge to bringing in the SSI and doing it in such a way that, yeah, a lot of the internal plumbing is going to be DIDs and DIDCOM.
Okay.
Uh, so anything new is going that route, but that's being masked by the fact that the way authentication into the system, it's reusing it. So at some point it becomes fuzzy and it's like 2FA at some point. The 2FA is actually doing the heavy lifting of it. The other one is like your password almost becomes, well, you can stop using that now because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
In fact, if you look at 1Password in a lot of extent, they're saying, we're going to help you, and then you can just throw the switch, and we're now going to use this. So they're a broker in terms of bridging you from your
Yeah.
existing identity
Okay.
password
Yeah. Yeah.
to when the third parties start, when the banks start saying, yeah, we're going all in with this, then you don't
Yeah.
have to change your behavior because it's
Right.
just you do
They
a
just are
one-time
reusing
thing.
it. Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
certainly where I see things moving over to SSI is everybody knows the limitations of the authorization because the
Yep.
authorization token is stealable. Everybody knows that. I can replay, if it's got a certain timestamp on it, it stands on its own. I can replay that till it
Right.
expires, and they go, but there's so much embedded systems with that in it that
So they can't just swap it out.
you can't, well, you got to transition it. You need to let it run in parallel as the new system snaps in.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and that seems to be the magic sauce these days. Like, I mean, one of the things that I'm looking at personally is the DIDCOM guys came up with what they call DACL, data access communication layer or something like that. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it's a query mechanism for a more robust JSON schema based query language um, for getting at the contents of a verifiable credential, right? So they got a protocol that's based on that as the mechanism rather than what was there before. And it's like, ooh, we're doing a JSON schema based travel profile. So you need a request protocol, then, you know, it would be stupid for me not to go after something else. And there's nothing in there. It came out of that crew of people, but there's nothing that's OAuth. This is, you know, this is plumbing that they're building, and it's completely agnostic to SSI or anything else.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so that's certainly the trend I'm seeing.
Okay. I actually should get going because my boss wants to have a meeting with me, so maybe I can squeeze that in before the end of the hour. Um, if you can have a look at the videos, then I'm away next week, and then the week after, hopefully we can start publishing them.
All righty, let me just make sure I know where they are.
Oh, and I put the links again in the Slack chat for Bite Size Trust.
Boom. Yes. Okay. In fact, I will do that. Got to take a cat for an injection at one. So
Lucky cat.
yes. She's 21 and a half. What do you want?
Yeah. Hanging in there.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. All right. So yeah, no,
Cool.
I'll just do that right now. Do you want me
Yeah.
to put the responses back in Slack or somewhere else?
You can either do it in Slack or you could also do it in,
I could always do it in Signal.
yeah, but it's fine if um
If it's good
it's fine
feedback,
if
you'll
it's
put it in Slack. If it's bad feedback,
everybody should be able to read the feedback. If you want to give me private feedback, you can send it on Signal. Hey Carly, you're shit.
yeah. No, but like I said,
Yeah.
I think what I'm starting to hear, like I said, it's nice working in diff and seeing all this other stuff. So, you know, there's a
Yeah.
very clear, you know, there's this body of stuff that's coming in with a transition to and bridging a mechanism that you can see
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of this stuff we've talked about it theoretically, but again, this company, they're planning on going after corporate travel agents and taking them out completely with, you know, software agents. Yeah, these guys, I mean, the monetary incentive is enormous. So, and they're
Yeah.
following very much this. I mean, for guys I haven't heard from, they've been running in parallel with all the stuff we've been talking about. So it's starting to
Yeah.
come. So
Okay. I gotta go. Got my meeting and then my computer has to go for repair. Okay. Thank you so much, Neil.
it's time. I mean, you don't repair machines. It's hey, I need a new one. You know.
I'm at the university.
Hmm.
Bye.